Breaking. Netanyahu just told Britain's Prime Minister to stay home. And what happened in the next 48 hours triggered the biggest constitutional fight between the king and his government in modern British history. Intelligence sharing stopped. Security protocols collapsed, and the royal family just did something they haven't done in decades. If you think this is just another diplomatic disagreement, you're about to find out why this changes everything I'm breaking down, exactly what's happening right now, and why this matters to anyone who cares about Western security. Hit subscribe because this story is moving faster than anyone predicted. 7:42 a.m. London time. Israel's foreign ministry releases a statement that shocks Whitehall to its core. Prime Minister Netanyahu does not consider current conditions conducive to productive dialogue with British leadership. No diplomatic softening, no future meeting proposed, no alternative arrangements offered. The summit was already planned, security was finalised, agendas were approved at ministerial level, and then Israel pulled the plug in the most public way possible. But here's what the statement didn't say. According to senior diplomatic sources with direct knowledge of the communications, Netanyahu sent a private message through secure channels that was far more direct. He told Starmer's team he would not legitimise what he called a hostile position through formal recognition. Then he added something that sent shockwaves through British intelligence. All intelligence sharing arrangements would be reassessed. This wasn't a cancelled meeting. This was a fundamental break between allies that have shared secrets for 75 years. Within 51 minutes, the Cabinet Secretary summons Britain's highest crisis response team to a Cobra meeting. Foreign Secretary David Lammy walks invisibly shaken intelligence officials lay out the damage in real time. According to a ministerial aide authorised to brief on the proceedings, Lamy's exact words were, "This goes beyond diplomatic embarrassment. We're looking at potential intelligence blackouts across multiple theatres where British personnel are deployed. Military leaders start frantically reassessing force protection. Several generals state explicitly that security is now compromised in at least 3 operational zones. British soldiers, British intelligence officers operating in hostile territory, and the intelligence pipeline they depend on just got cut." Then the situation takes a turn nobody saw coming. King Charles, in his role as head of state, formally requests a Privy Council briefing on the security situation. This is his constitutional right. He's the sovereign. He gets briefed on matters affecting national security. Downing Street refuses. Their justification, foreign policy, remains exclusively within ministerial purview. Read that again. The government just told the king he doesn't get security briefings during a national security crisis. The constitutional bomb just went off. While government lawyers argue about who gets to see classified documents, ordinary British Jews are watching something far more personal unfold. Rabbi Michael Goldstein, 68, has built interfaith bridges in North London for decades. He speaks outside his synagogue with genuine concern in his voice. Many in our community already feel vulnerable with rising incidents. When Britain's relationship with Israel fractures, those concerns intensify significantly. Across Manchester, Leeds and London, Jewish families who maintain deep ties to Israel express the same fear. Diplomatic protection is eroding. Anti-Israel protest groups celebrate on university campuses. Political activists who pushed for parliamentary condemnations of Israel gain more influence. The contrast is stark. While some celebrate Britain's distance from Israel, British Jews feel increasingly exposed. This isn't just geopolitics for them, it's safety. 2:27 p.m. Buckingham Palace does something extraordinary. The King's private secretary releases a formal statement invoking constitutional powers that haven't been used in living memory. His Majesty has directed that he be properly informed on all matters affecting the security of the realm as established through constitutional convention and the sovereign's right to be consulted to encourage and to warn. Every word was chosen with precision. Every phrase carries constitutional weight. Then comes the final paragraph that makes constitutional scholars sit up straight. The palace notes with grave concern any limitation on established information channels during matters of national security import. Professor Jonathan Richardson of Oxford University calls it constitutionally seismic. Royal historians use words like unprecedented and historic confrontation. The monarchy just publicly challenged the government in writing on the record. Frantic calls go back and forth between Downing Street and Buckingham Palace trying to resolve this privately. They fail. The constitutional crisis isn't emerging anymore. It's here in public with the king standing against his own prime minister. Within hours, opposition leaders unite in defence of royal prerogatives, former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. This government is undermining constitutional arrangements that have served this nation through world wars and international crisis. But the real blow comes from inside Labour itself. Former Attorney General Lord Falconer makes a devastating observation. Constitutional Convention clearly establishes the sovereign's right to be informed on security matters. Any limitation represents a dangerous precedent. Defence Secretary John Healey refuses to endorse Downing Street's position when journalists press him cabinet unity fractures in real time. An overnight poll shows the numbers collapsing. 71% of the public believes the king should receive security briefings government approval on constitutional handling drops from 48% to 29% in 24 hours. Royal approval climbs to 72%. For the first time in modern political history, the monarchy is in a direct constitutional fight with government and the public is siding with the crown. But here's where this story transforms from constitutional drama into something far more serious. Classified diplomatic communications obtained by senior political sources and dated just 4 days ago reveal why Netanyahu really refused the meeting. Israel intercepted what they interpreted as unauthorised back-channel communications between junior Foreign Office staff and representatives of groups Israel considers hostile entities. A 17-page intelligence assessment shared through official channels alleges British diplomatic personnel engaged in unauthorised diplomatic initiatives contrary to stated British policies most concerning. These communications allegedly occurred without ministerial approval or knowledge. Israeli intelligence assessed this as either institutional policy, contrary to official positions, or a foreign ministry operating outside proper chain of command. When this intelligence reached Downing Street 3 days ago, it triggered internal investigations rather than diplomatic clarification with Israel. If these documents are authentic, Netanyahu's rejection wasn't petulance. It was a calculated response to perceived institutional breakdown within British foreign policy. The implications are staggering. Britain's diplomatic credibility, its intelligence reliability, all now in question. The effects spread like a shockwave through Allied intelligence services. American officials expressed private alarm about Five Eyes intelligence sharing if Britain's own head of state is denied security briefings. How reliable is Britain as an intelligence partner? Australian and Canadian officials whose countries share constitutional monarchy systems with Britain watch with profound concern. The precedent being set affects them directly. NATO security planners evaluate information protocols. Middle Eastern partners who maintain relationships with both Britain and Israel find themselves in impossible diplomatic positions. Gulf states quietly postpone meetings with British officials. Egypt delays a planned security agreement. Jordan's foreign minister cancels a London visit without explanation. The diplomatic isolation accelerates. Years of carefully built Middle East relationships face collapse. Defence industry executives report Israeli counterparts suspending joint projects worth billions. Technology companies with Israeli partnerships face contract reviews. Investment funds specialising in Britain, Israel Innovation Report. Capital Flight Treasury assessments estimate the combined economic impact across defence, technology and cybersecurity sectors could exceed £17 billion in the first year alone. Britain isn't just facing diplomatic and constitutional crisis, it's facing economic contraction in high-value sectors where Israeli partnerships provided critical competitive advantages. Inside Downing Street, extraordinary division replaces normal governance. Senior staff split into competing factions. One group led by constitutional traditionalists argues for immediate restoration of royal information channels. The opposing faction, including progressive advisers, pushes for strict separation between government and monarchy. Victoria Richards, a constitutional advisor who witnessed key discussions, reveals a critical moment legal advisors were presenting competing constitutional interpretations, and the Prime Minister just said, "We may have created a precedent we didn't intend." Cabinet Secretary Simon Cassis is explicit in his warnings, telling colleagues, "This has implications beyond the immediate crisis. We're potentially rewriting constitutional arrangements established over centuries." National Security Advisor Stephen Lovegrove-Eve reportedly refuses to implement